Hey everyone, this is Johnnie Alexander with Novelists Unwind. So glad to be with you today. I'm actually at my daughter's home in Florida, so I'm not quite in my element. So this is my grandson's bedroom, which is behind me. And I'm here today with Bethany Turner. So excited to be with her and talk about her debut novel, The Secret Life of Sarah Hollenbeck, which I've been reading this weekend, finished it last night, and it's really just a fun read. So we're going to be talking about
Oh,
that.
thanks.
But first, Bethany, it's so interesting. You came from a banking background and
I
gave all
did.
that up to write.
Yeah, go figure, huh? Yeah, I had been in banking for basically since I moved to Colorado, which was when my husband and I got married. First job I got when I moved here when I was 22, had just turned 22, and started as a part-time teller, worked there for a lot of years, and ended up vice president. And yeah,
President, wow.
I had really, climbed that ladder. And, it was like, it wasn't just a job, obviously. At that point, that's a career and you intend to be there forever and you're building towards retirement. And then God said, okay, we're done here. Time to do something else. And no one was more shocked than I was, I assure you. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
crazy.
but you still work. You work at a church.
I do. I actually, so when I left the bank, I quit. I didn't do anything except write for a little while. Wrote Secret Life of Sarah Hollenbeck very quickly, um, in that free time, I guess. Spent time with my kids, really reconnected with my kids. I mean, it was honestly the best few months of my life, and in a lot of ways. And then, yeah, the church that we've been going to since 2005, I guess. Um, I was having a conversation with my pastor, and next thing I know, it's like, well, why don't you come do this? Why don't you do this? Well, why don't you do this now too? And before I knew it, here I am, full-time staff 4 years later, and I'm loving every minute of it. So
Wow.
yeah, really just, gave up the one big full-time job for two big full-time jobs that just are so much more passion and love based than stress and ladder climbing based. So I'm in a much happier place in my life.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
wow, that's fun.
Yeah, very blessed.
So, we call Sarah The Secret Life of Sarah Hollenbeck your debut novel, but actually you'd written other stories.
True. Yeah, I had back in the banking days when I had we were going through a particular stressful period. We were through two conversions, which conversions basically, being bought out from another bank and switching all your systems and all your policies and everything. We'd gone through two within a year.
Wow.
And yeah, it was and of course, I was kind of overseeing the operations side of all of it. And so all of this is happening. And I just needed some sort of creative outlet. And I was a theater major in college and I had always done community theater, but with the job, I didn't have time to do community theater at that point in my life. And so I was like, well, I'll just start writing. And um, yeah, had a couple friends read those first books, which are they're general market women's fiction, romance. They were a hobby, is what they are. They were just fun. But a couple friends read them and were like, not bad. And so I thought, well, why not? So I just self-published, not in the wonderful, miraculous, so impressive way that so many authors self-publish nowadays. This was 8 years ago or something like that. And yeah, I didn't have it edited. I didn't have it proofread. I didn't do anything. I just put it out there so that a few people who wanted to read it could read it. And it kind of took off. I mean, not, I think I probably sold 50 copies. I'm not saying it took off, but I was amazed that anyone outside of the few people I told about it found it. So in that regard, it took off. Yeah. So, but that was just fun and
Yeah.
still not at that point having any thoughts of actually taking this writing thing seriously. So even though, yes, Secret Life Sarah Hollenbeck is not technically my debut novel,
But it is.
First time it is, in so many ways it is. So exactly.
Show us Sarah at Hollenbeck, The Secret Life of Sarah.
Yeah,
It's just
here she is.
beautiful, beautiful cover. I love it. And
Love it.
yeah, great job on that. And
They
it's
did such a good job.
such a breezy, fun book. And you see that. So it does, I mean, I say that, I mean, it's breezy, it's humorous and all this, and yet it does hit important topics. So, and I love what you say in the back of the book under your bio, when God has plans for your life, it doesn't matter what anyone else has to say. And that's true for Sarah. We see this in her journey as a brand new Christian trying to figure life out, and thinking, oh, life's going to be great, and then life's not so great. And yet it's like, it doesn't matter what everyone else says. It only matters what God says.
Exactly. And I think, with her coming through that journey of, kind of just like no one was more surprised than I was the direction things took. No one was more surprised by her salvation than Sarah was. It's a situation where she wasn't on the fringe of Christianity or anything like that. She was far, far away from God. And but when God has a plan for your life, doesn't matter what anybody else has to say. And someone, she had a friend who spoke truth into her, and it just came down to that girl was convicted by the Holy Spirit. That's all there is to it. And so suddenly, yeah, here she is. And so, but it's quite the difficult path. And that was one thing that was really important to me writing it, was that, you don't snap your fingers, say, oh, now I'm a Christ follower, and boom, life is easy. But at the same time, I think when you're coming into it, you may have that expectation a little bit, like once, because you do have kind of that mountaintop moment of getting to know God in the beginning, and which obviously is so rich and so good, and so, and it's like for this little period of time, you can almost believe that, oh, life will be better now, life will be easier now. Life is better, but not easier. And and it was important to me that was true for Sarah. Just that it's like, okay, great, now you have God, now life really begins, and now the real trials are going to start because you have God in your corner to get you through it. So yeah, it was a fun journey to write, going through Sarah's journey with her.
It's fun to read too. It is.
Thank you.
But we don't want to give spoilers away, but share with us Sarah's secret life, and then what she had to immediately confront when she became a Christian.
Sure. So Sarah is very, 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 very well known for writing some salacious, scandalous, steamy, explicit books. And she stumbled into that kind of as a hobby, similar to but my books are not similar to what Sarah wrote. I assure you, they're not Christian fiction, but they are not like what Sarah wrote. And so, it was just she was searching and seeking meaning in her life and for herself. And so she stumbled into this, turned out she was pretty good at it, and hit at the right time. She took off, became very well known for that. And so then she's going through some trials, but really we don't deal with all of that as much as we deal with from the moment her friend Piper leads her to the Lord. She feels clean, which of course she is. She has repented. She has turned her life over to God, and she has this kind of crazy comical moment of she's kind of forgotten what she actually does for a living and what she's known for. And it's like, boom, within minutes basically of her salvation, she's confronted by a fan who tells her, oh, I love your books, and such a great escape from reality. And the conviction and the guilt and the regret just wash over her. But of course, in this typical Sarah Hollenbeck pop culture way of comparing it to, when Moses came down from the mountain and the 10 Commandments and his hair had turned white, that sort of thing. So Um, so yeah, so it hit instantly, and then the reality of it begins of okay, I am still known for that. I still have a contract. We're in negotiations for movie rights. She has
Mhm.
all these things. I have a press tour I'm about to go on, and yet she doesn't want anything to do with any of it anymore. So yes, juggling those two lives in a lot of ways is what this. If that's the rest of the story.
Yeah. Well, and then there's Ben. And so,
There's been.
I mean, in this story, I mean, it's definitely not the typical Christian romance. There's you explore some issues that a lot of us don't always want to talk about.
Yeah,
and
and
good, and it was done very, very well, and
oh, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, to be honest, and here's the part that I'm always like, okay, no one, please, no one throw anything at me when I say this.
I know.
I had not, I had not really read any Christian fiction before writing this book. I've been a Christ follower since I was 8 years old. I grew up in a ministry family. I am in full-time vocational ministry, like I said. I didn't really know what all Christian fiction was out there,
Uh-huh.
which now I'm like, I'm so glad I do, because obviously I've read quite a bit since and will continue to. And I love what's being done, but I had no idea. So when I was writing it, I wasn't thinking of, oh, no one really does it this way, or there isn't a lot of this, or some people shy away from this. I wasn't thinking any of that. I was just writing the story I felt like God was giving me in the way I felt like I was supposed to do it. But yeah, that led to a lot of some frank discussions in the book, and that was important to me too, because Sarah is divorced.
Mm-hmm.
Ben has been married. I don't want to say too much there,
Yeah.
but but they are both mid-30s adults, who are, Ben is very solid and strong in his faith as a pastor, among other things. And of course, Sarah is a new Christian, but they're also a man and a woman
Yes.
who are falling in love and attracted to each other.
And very
And
attractive
they
to other.
very, yes,
Really there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and they just, yeah, it's like that is reality, and it's not about not wanting to be with someone in that way. It's about knowing that your commitment to God comes first, and figuring out a way to put that in the perspective and save it for the proper time.
Right.
And that's what I wanted to convey. It's like, I'm not going to pretend that these two don't want to be together, because they very much do. And but so that led to them setting their ground rules of, okay, we can't really be alone. We can't um, we can't be in our, we can't take it more than kissing. And if we wouldn't do it in front of other people, we won't do it. That sort of stuff. And some of those rules they really struggle with,
Yeah.
and they're more successful with some of them than others. But it's always, they do always strive to keep God at the center of it, um, and to varying levels of success.
Well, and it's great too because as Sarah's trying to write a new book, I mean, you sort of see she's writing it based on these experiences. So her characters are struggling with that. She's struggling with it, so it's almost like you're
Right.
going into it to, at least two levels, which is kind of fun too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that was fun, and it was fun for me to have Sarah tackle this Christian romance thing, which again, not like me coming to Christian romance from my life of, not being that far from it anyway. Um, but Sarah coming at it, my goodness, from the complete other side of the spectrum. So it was fun.
That's really that is and a couple other things I want to talk about too.
Sure.
The chapter titles. I mean, lots of times we don't have chapter titles in books anymore, and yet you've got these fun fun chapter titles. So, what led you to even decide to do that? Is that part of the, I don't know why, but they're them.
Thank you. My editor actually, we may have been in second round edits. I mean, we were pretty far into the process, and I was just chapter 1, chapter 2. And she said, I think chapter titles would be fun. And I was like, okay, what would you like? And, and she's like, I don't know. And I was like, okay. So I started working on it, and I started with I was going to go with different themes. Like, I'm a child of the 90s who watched Friends, and everyone was the one with, every time, the one where Joey finds out, or whatever. And so I was kind of going with one of those themes, and then something, I think it was actually, I can't remember which title it was, but it was the 350 degree, 7 minutes at 350 degrees.
Yeah.
That one, I was just like, I want that to be a title, because I want people to be like, what is she talking about? And so then that kind of just became the theme of it. I'll just find something weird that will pop out. And so, yeah, I'd like to say there was a whole lot of forethought in that, but there wasn't. It was just my brilliant editor saying it needed chapter titles, and then me figuring out what I could do about that.
It just adds to the whole thing, like she writes under a pseudonym, Rain the Berg, and so one of the chapter titles is Rain with an E. I mean, it's just yeah. And then I won't give the last one because that's sort of I just love it. And then for those watching, Bethany did a really great promotion with this book, and it's actually how we became acquainted.
Yes.
She wrote and asked me to participate, and along with some other authors, in reading different sections of the book. So I think I had like 3 or 4 different things that I had to do. And she put those together, and then she also asked us for outtakes so that I love them so much. We could send those to her as well, and she did. She put those together as a video too, and it makes the rounds on Facebook. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I saw it, was sharing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my dog made an appearance in that, so I'm saying it's like his timing was perfect, because I said like he was a man, she was a woman, and then my dog appeared.
And this is my dog. I loved it so much. And the thing was like that. When it's been probably about a year ago, I asked you guys to do that because it was before the book came out. So it was around this time last year. And I didn't know you guys, and it was just kind of out of the blue. But I think again that that factor of I don't know anything has really helped, where I'm like, I'm fearless. I like this person's personality on Facebook. I'm going to ask her to be a part of this. Why not?
I was so excited. It's like, oh, wow.
Well, and it was so fun. And I do hope people will check them out. I mean, obviously, I love them, seeing a little glimpse of Sarah Hollenbeck, but really it, to me, became about you guys. And you just there was so much individual personality in there. And it was just really kind of the first time that I really got my best first glimpse of how generous this community is. It was overwhelming. It's like, you guys don't know me from anybody. Why would you agree to do this? I'm so grateful. I really was just overwhelmed by it. And I think it turned out pretty great. But yeah, it was you and Becky Wade and Courtney Wash and Melissa Tagg and Katie Ganchert. I mean, just this amazing list of people. So it was lots of fun.
It was fun, and I think for this book especially, it just really works for this kind of story, which is just it's really good. And again, it's funny, and Sarah is funny, her take on life, and very distinct personality, and yet there's those deep truths that are just sort of they're there. And
and I wanted, where the idea for those videos first came from was I wanted people to hear Sarah talk, because I don't really ever describe Sarah in the book physically. And I think I say she's 5'4". I don't even remember how tall she is. I think I say her height. But that's pretty much it. And I talk about, I think I talk about her roots are showing or something, because she has something really basic and superficial, but that's it. And that was very intentional. it is all from her perspective. We are in her mind. And there was no opportunity where she would say, hey guys, here's what I look like. We
Right.
don't think that way. And I just wanted it to be very real of everyone's going to have their own picture of Sarah. And I have my picture of Sarah. I see the actress who I think would play her in the movie, as if there would be a movie, but
We all
and all of we all dream of it, of course. Um, but I want every reader to figure it out for themselves and who they see her as. And so by having these different voices come and be Sarah's voice, it was like, and that's why, I didn't really give you guys any directions. It was just like, just bring your own personality to it, because everybody's going to hear her differently and see her differently. And so, yeah, I think it turned out really well. And I'm just so grateful that you guys helped me pull that off.
It really was. It was fun. And I think it was fun just, seeing the different bits of that we had. And it's like, well, then I was intrigued by the story. It was like, oh, how did all this fit together? Because it was different pieces. But
Mhm. Okay.
Bethany has a website. I want to give you that. It's cbethanywright.com. Beautiful site. I was on it this morning. She's got questions and things like that, printable bookmarks, a blog, and tell us what's next.
What's next? Coming out next summer from Revell, will be Wooing Katie McCaffrey
Cute.
is the name of the next book. And we're currently in edits on that. It's basically, and I don't have official blurb done yet, so it's like this will not be a nice concise blurb because I'm never good at this on my own. But basically it's a story of a longtime couple, Katie McCaffrey and Will Whitaker, who've been dating for 4 years, no marriage, which was okay for a long time, and then it's not at a certain point, and Katie doesn't understand why. And it's not so much that she doesn't just want a ring on her finger. It's like, why doesn't he love me as much as I love him? And so she's going through these sorts of things. They reach this crossroads in their relationship by making a big mistake together, and which, no spoiler here because I'm sure it'll be in the back cover copy. So they break up, but the story really is Will trying to get her back, and wooing her from well, he's this sports guy, but he turns to all the romance movies that she loves for inspiration. And so basically it's him recreating these romance scenes, trying to get her back and trying to figure out what it's going to take to get her back and what she actually wants. So it is romantic comedy again, although that part of it doesn't, most of what I described there doesn't sound funny at all, but hopefully it is. And yeah, so it'll be coming out next summer. I'm really excited for everybody to meet Will and Katie. I love them so much. So yeah.
Yeah, we do, don't we? Just fall in love with
We
our
do.
characters. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
do.
I cried over my characters after the story was written and I was driving somewhere crying over why.
I know, you feel so silly. And it's like my pastor, who's also my boss, who's also one of my dearest friends, he's always saying, like, because we talk movies and TV and stuff all the time around our office, and he's always saying, I just have to remind myself, they called cut and went home. These people aren't really, and yet we just, yeah. And of course, since I write rom-com, I'm not usually killing anyone off or anything like that, but my hearts break when their hearts break, so I'm like, Katie, why did you say that? Oh, wait, because I made you say that. I forgot,
So funny when we do. They just
And we do. We do.
So, last question. After
Yeah.
you hit the end, what do you do to unwind?
So what I do to unwind is usually watch a movie that gets my mind off of it, because one of the reasons I don't read a whole lot, and I love to read, but I have such a hard time not thinking as an author when I read.
I know.
It's hard, and
Very
it's not usually in a critical sense of, oh, I wouldn't have done that. More often it's, oh, that was beautiful. I will never be able to write like that. And then you get down on yourself, and all these different things, or, oh, I wish I could do that. And so it's like, so I do read, but I don't usually read when I'm in the midst of a book, of
Yeah.
writing one. And so, but a movie, I get completely transported. And it's usually one that I've already seen 100 times because I know how it will make me feel. Um, and I want that specific feeling. And then usually the family, we'll go to dinner or something, and just kind of, because by the time I hit the end, I've spent 3 weeks neglecting them, we know how that goes. And so yeah, so nothing real exciting, but just kind of like, okay, I'm going to spend a concerted few minutes not thinking about this book anymore before I dive back into this book. So that's my celebration, not thinking about it.
Well, thank you so much, Bethany. I'm so
Oh,
glad
thank you.
you today. And for those watching, glad you're here too. And again, check out Bethany's website, seebethanyWrite.com. Do you want to hold up your book one more time?
Love to.
I highly recommend The Secret Life of Sarah Hollenbeck. It's really a fun read, and a lot of pop cultural references too. I meant to say that earlier. Yeah, so it's just really, really fun to see Sarah's journey from a steamy romance author to a brand new Christian who then has to figure that out, and then things that Ben has to figure out too. So it's not just Sarah and Ben together, and how they're going to keep passion at bay and work out their lives, and and face criticism, but they know God's got a plan. So
that's right.
Thank you, Bethany.
Thank you. I loved every minute of it. Thanks so much for having me here.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. See you next time on
Bye.
Novelists Unwind.